Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today for this Manufacturing Marketing Group webinar. This one is Lead Generation for Manufacturing. And in this webinar, you'll learn how to increase your quantity and your quality of leads when you go from an ad hoc or reactive marketing structure to planned campaigns. And we'll talk about the difference between the two, the challenges, and about how to overcome, and we'll have a practical example. And that's going to be a key takeaway for you today is we'll show a practical example, something you can do right away, and we'll call this a lead magnet, and it's a planned campaign that can get you leads right away. Everyone who registered for this webinar will get a link to the recording, and we send that two ways. First, we'll send an email out within about 24 hours of this live broadcast, and that'll have a link to the recording and a link to the slide deck, and we'll also post it on the MMG website. Everyone is in listen-only mode. That means you cannot speak to us directly via your phone or via the computer, but we do want you to interact. We'd love to have your questions, your comments, and the way to do that is in the questions pane. Everybody should have that in their control panel. Just type in your comment or your question, and we will answer those in two sessions. We'll have a mid-webinar session for questions and answers, and we'll have one at the end. So once again, this webinar will be recorded and everybody will get a link to the recording and a link to the slide deck. This webinar is presented and created by Manufacturing Marketing Group. And if you don't already know MMG, we help manufacturing companies grow their business with lead generation and increasing awareness. And we do this with advanced strategy and digital tactics in business development. Speaking today, my name is Bruce McDuffie. I'm the principal here at MMG. I've got 20 plus years of business, marketing, and sales experience within the B2B sector, mostly manufacturing and heavy industry. For the past 4 years, I've been a consultant, and I operate an agency, MMG, of course, providing marketing services to manufacturers, things like strategic marketing planning, lead generation tactics and programs, awareness building, and digital marketing strategy and tactics. Your co-presenter today is Adrian Hargreaves. And Adrian is a sales enablement professional. He's got over 30 years of experience in sales and marketing. He's professionally qualified with the United Kingdom's Chartered Institute of Marketing to the diploma level. Adrian has for the last 5 years been the managing director of Hargreaves Marketing, and he specializes in helping small and medium-sized businesses modernize and improve their sales and marketing operations. Welcome, Adrian.
Thank you, Bruce. It's great to be here.
Great to have you on the webinar. And folks, Adrian hails from across the pond in England, so he's spending his evening with us today. And in the background, we've got Cassidy. She's working on the questions and the answering your chats, and Cassidy will be moderating the question and answer session. Welcome, Cassidy.
Hey, everybody.
And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Adrian, who will run through our agenda today. Adrian?
Great. Well, Bruce is going to get things started by defining lead generation and its importance to manufacturing businesses. I'll then focus on how we can go from being ad hoc to more planned in our marketing and lead generation processes, including how to get senior management on side. Bruce will then give his thoughts on how to define and target leads, and I'll show 2 techniques to help identify and connect with your potential buyers. Finally, Bruce will use a real example from his own website to demonstrate a step-by-step process of how to develop a lead magnet and run a planned campaign from start to finish. Bruce.
And we've got a couple of polls here before we go into the lead gen. And it's good to know the audience, and I think it's interesting for you guys out there to know who else is out there, not by name, but by area. So the first question I have for you to kind of warm up the engagement phase of the webinar is, where are you located? Are you in Western US, Central US, Eastern US? And I'll leave it up to you to decide which one you're in. America's not the US, or other. Give it a few minutes, a few seconds to give everyone a chance to vote. And if looks like everyone's voted, and now I'll close it and share the results so you can see who's out there. Looks like Central US, maybe that's because of the time, Western and US, nobody outside the US in the Americas, and one other. Maybe that's in the UK, Adrian.
Could be.
I've got one other question for you before we get into the presentation. What is your role? What is your role in lead generation at your company? Are you a marketing leader, marketing team member, a sales leader, or sales team member, or executive level? Give it a few seconds. Hopefully the presentation comes back. I'll close the results and share them.
Yep.
It's back, okay.
Oh,
good.
It was, and it's gone again.
Okay, that's all right. It looks like when I show the polls, the background goes away. A new feature from GoToWebinar. So it looks like marketing leaders and marketing team members, great. Some sales folks, and then some executives. Good, that's a great mix. And again, thanks everybody for being here. Okay, and with that, I'm going to go into the presentation. What is lead generation? Okay, for the purpose of this webinar, lead generation is made up of 3 points. First is finding qualified buyers for your business. Second is getting their attention. And third is identifying them for further action. And that's what we're talking about for lead generation today. And I show the funnel here because lead generation typically means top of the funnel. And top of the funnel is typically not existing clients, and it's not people who are already doing business with you. It's people who are in your target audience, people you'd like to do business with, and you need to get their attention. You need to engage with them so they learn about your company, they learn about your offering, they learn about, even the most important, learn about your expertise. And now so typically what we see in manufacturing, and this is, I talk to a lot of manufacturers, and it's very common what we see. I see a lot of ad hoc marketing, like we talked about in the beginning, ad hoc activities where the marketing team is very small, sometimes even just one marketer, and that might be the case for some of you guys out there today. And it's reactive. When there's money, maybe somebody comes along to the marketing team and says, hey, we've got some money, let's do something. Or somebody from the executive team or the sales teams comes by and says, hey, got this great idea. I was on the golf course talking to a colleague, and let's do this. This is a famous one for social media. Hey, I saw these guys on this thing called Instagram. We should be on there. Or it's even worse, it's an add-on for somebody. Somebody has a regular job, full-time job, and when a marketing activity is needed, it's added onto their job. And folks, this is an opportunity because most manufacturing out there operates this way with their marketing. This is an opportunity. And the opportunity is that you can be better. You can use the tactics and the strategy and the things we'll talk about today to get the leads that the rest of the manufacturing isn't doing. Huge opportunity right now. And with that, we're going to go in a little deeper with Adrian. Let's talk more about this.
Thank you, Bruce. Well, why we're here today and why you're attending this webinar today is to talk about marketing and about lead generation and how we can go from being ad hoc to more planned in our approach. So some things might be going through your mind right now, depending on your role and perspective. For example, if you're a leader under pressure to deliver on many fronts, you might be thinking, why does it matter if we're ad hoc? As long as some marketing gets done. Or we're only a small company, we know what we're doing, we don't need to write down plans. Or it could be, we're fast and agile. If we wrote down a plan, it would be out of date in no time. But the most common one, of course, is I don't feel our marketing is working, we don't get enough leads, or we don't get enough good quality leads. Okay. Or if you're one of the people whose job it is to produce marketing activity, you might see things differently. You might be thinking, yes, I always feel I'm trying to spin too many plates and I'd love to be more planned. Marketing has been added onto my job. I'm busy enough. I don't have time to do marketing as well. Everything gets left to me. I don't get the support I need from other people. I don't know what to do. I don't have the training to do marketing. No one's ever shown me anything. Or it could be the opposite. I'm experienced, I do know what to do, but I don't get the chance to do it here because I'm just too busy. And alongside that one could be, it's not how I thought it was going to be when I studied marketing at college and university. Totally different here. The one thing in agreement, of course, is we're not getting the leads we need. I feel under pressure. I feel stressed. I fear for my job. Okay, so those are real comments I've heard over again, and they show the frustration that can develop. And I think what's important is that whether you think your marketing and lead generation are going well or not, you sit down as a team to discuss and take stock every few months to benchmark where you are now to reduce and eliminate any frustrations if you possibly can. So here are 5 common mistakes leading to lead generation failure, which I'd like to focus on today. Missing the ultimate objective of lead generation. Getting caught up in the busy culture and diving straight into tactics. Thinking marketing is easy. Not having the full commitment of senior management. And finally, not addressing gaps in marketing expertise and technology. Okay, let's take them one by one. It's easy to think that what we should be doing is creating lots of marketing activity, but the goal is not to be busy, but to be effective. The ultimate aim of lead generation is to generate profitable sales revenue, and you can only do that if you are focusing marketing on profitable products and services. Understanding and communicating which products and services are the ones the company should be selling is a higher level management responsibility. So hopefully you can see that there is an immediate connection between the higher level business analysis and the direction that should be given to marketing. You might say, well, that's obvious, and you'd be right. But the reality is that business analysis and planning takes time. And in many companies, it's just not a priority, so it doesn't get done. The consequence of it not being done is that you can be pretty sure that sales and marketing are both spending a lot of their time chasing the wrong sort of business. In lead generation, it doesn't make sense to chase poor quality leads. You need to be selective on how you spend your time and your budget. That way, the company can generate more of the right sales. And importantly, marketing can be seen as a profit generator rather than a cost center. So, unfortunately, if the culture of the business is not to analyze and plan at the top levels, then it's always going to be very difficult to gain management acceptance to go from ad hoc marketing to planned campaigns. Let's put things in perspective by looking at a process. Plans don't need to be super complicated and lengthy, but if you can spend some time defining your mission, vision, goals and strategy, as well as working to build a culture that encourages collaboration and sharing, you'll probably find you've established clarity, direction, accountability, and a highly motivated group of people. So my key point today, please, is don't skip on the high-level planning. Far from being an unnecessary chore, it makes everything much easier and better for everyone. Okay, let's address this one. Marketing is easy, is it? Well, it's not easy. And Bruce and I have both been around long enough, having worked through the years of what is now referred to as traditional marketing, as well as learning the new digital marketing methods over the last decade. The scale and pace of this change can feel overwhelming. Marketing is ever more specialized, and few people would try to claim that they are an expert on everything. So marketing isn't easy. It needs to be understood and supported if we're going to be successful. And telling marketing people to get more leads is like telling a footballer to score more home runs or a soccer player to score more goals. It's not that simple. In both cases, people need to be shown how and given the tools to do the job. That means the company needs to be committed across 3 key areas: people, processes, and technology. Let's take a look at how you can start to make the business case to management to get the resources that you need. You need to set yourself up to be successful, but if you don't do a benchmark assessment at the start, you may be setting yourself up to fail. The reality is that because marketing is now so diverse and specialized, you probably won't have all the knowledge, skills, processes, and technology you need to run successful marketing activities in-house. So the task is to look at your resources and benchmark where you are now and be honest about where the gaps are. Once you analyze the assessment results, you'll probably find that to plug those gaps is going to be a combination of developing existing people, processes and technology in the business, and also buying in the expertise and services you don't have from outside. Bruce.
So that's a great foundation, folks. And the point here is with lead generation for manufacturing, you start with the foundation. And one of the things I preach all the time is the marketing plan. It's one of the first steps you should take if you want to generate more leads, if you want to use some of these, the business case for manufacturing for your leadership, make a marketing plan, a proper marketing plan that covers everything from your current situation to your target audience, to who you don't want to talk to, and your strategy on how are you going to market. All those things could be in one plan. And one of the templates in the handout section is a template for a manufacturing marketing plan. You can download that, and there's also a campaign brief. And both of those things emphasize what Adrian was just talking about, setting that foundation, getting leadership involved, and getting that culture to a point where marketing is not just the folks down the hall or in the back who set up the trade shows or place the ads, to getting marketing to be a strategic component of the business. And your marketing leader is sitting at that leadership table when the business decisions are made. That's the conversion from ad hoc to planned campaigns. And I'd love it if everybody out there would aspire to get to that point where your CEO, your CFO thinks, wow, marketing is a contributor. Marketing gets us revenue, versus the more common thing we see now is, boy, marketing is an expense. Boy, they spent a lot of money on marketing last quarter. I don't know what we got for it. We need to cut the budget. First one is marketing. We want to move marketing away from that. That's my passion, folks. Okay, we have a quick question. We want to ask you about your challenge. So the question is, what is your biggest challenge with lead generation? And you have to pick one. I know all these could apply, but pick your biggest one. Is it not enough people? Is it not enough money? Is it no time for planning? Is it that your leadership doesn't understand marketing, or your leadership doesn't value marketing? Which one of those is your biggest challenge? Give it a few seconds here. I want everybody to vote. I've only got half the folks voting out there, so come on, guys. There we go. Now we're getting it. A few more people. Okay. There we go. I'm at 83%. Anyone else want to vote? You don't have to, but it helps with our engagement here. 92%. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll, and I will share the results. Top one, not enough people. Pretty even spread, Adrian, through the mix. Interesting. So they're really, what we're seeing here is they're all challenges.
Yeah, they probably wanted to tick all the boxes.
When I was in marketing and manufacturing, I know I would want to tick them all as well. Okay, now we have Q&A session, folks. And go ahead and type your questions into the questions panel. And Cassidy, do we have any that are coming in?
We do have a question from Sandra. Sandra wants to know if you have any ideas about how to get leadership on board with marketing as a strategic part of the business.
Yeah, that's a big challenge, Sandra, is getting leadership on board. And because they have these preconceptions about marketing. It's actually fairly rare to have your CEO or your top leadership who really understand marketing from a strategic standpoint. So one thing you could do is, I like to do is say, challenge them. Say, okay, CEO, I know you hate marketing. No, you probably don't want to say that. Let's say, okay, CEO, I want to try this new thing. I saw this great webinar and it talks about marketing as a strategic component, and I want to try something new, but I'll prove it to you. I want to do a pilot program, and then do a pilot program that demonstrates the success of sharing expertise or a planned campaign versus an ad hoc campaign. You can even do an A/B test. You have any comments on that one, Adrian?
Great idea about the pilot. I would sort of say, okay, so find out what your competitors are doing, because nothing ruffles feathers more than feeling like you're losing out. So if your competitors are having great success or look like they're having great success with whatever they're doing, then point that out.
Yeah, that's a great one. The CEO hates to be beat out by the competitor. Another question, Cassidy?
Yeah, we have a few more. Jared from, I don't know where he's from, wants to know, how can I break out of the reactive mode of marketing?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, this is one of the biggest challenges, that marketing becomes, in many companies, becomes like a vending machine. And a salesperson comes over to marketing, hey, I need a brochure for this meeting next week, or I need a PowerPoint, or a product comes by and says, hey, I need a brochure for this new product, and you're just reactive, and it's all you can do just to keep up with the requests. To break out of that, you've got to talk to your boss or somebody and say, hey, look, here's why our competitors are beating us. That's a great one, Adrian. Or here's a reason why we need to change the way we do it, and I need time and money. I need to be able to say no to these folks sometimes. And that goes back to the marketing plan, because when you write your marketing plan and you get your stakeholders involved, you get sales involved, you get product involved, they agree to certain things. And if a salesperson comes by and says, hey, I need this, and it's not part of your marketing strategy or not in your target audience, you've got an agreed upon document. You can say no. You say it nicely, of course. And you say, no, it's not in our plan. We'll consider it when we go the next round of revisions, but right now can't do it. That's another big power of the marketing plan. Let's take one more question, Cassidy, and then we'll move into the second half. And folks, by the way, we've got another Q&A session at the end. So as we're going through the presentation, type in your questions and we'll take them at the end. One more, Cass.
Okay. Valerie says, our marketing is run by the product team and all they want to do is talk about the product. How can I get them to focus on the market?
Adrian, let's hear your thoughts on that one.
Well, I think I'd suggest focusing on the buyer. Focus on the buyer more, because then you're talking more marketing speak there. We've got a session later in the webinar on that, and I think that will be covered there.
Yeah, focus on the audience. It's so important to focus on the audience, and we'll talk more about that here in this next section. Who's your audience? Perfect segue. So many manufacturers don't answer this question. And I'm talking about manufacturers who've been in business for 20, 30, 40 years. I walked into a presentation and I'll ask, who is your target audience? And a common answer is everybody. Wrong answer, folks. You're always going to be more successful if you focus on a specific audience, whether that's a vertical industry or whether that's a specific geography even, but pick an audience, somebody who you can want to do business with, who you can help the most. I like the fishing analogy. And when I was a kid, I did a lot of fishing, and I was always amazed. In the same pond, there was one person, fisherman, usually me, not catching any fish. And we'd go by another fisherman who's catching loads of fish. Same pond, we're on the same type of boat. Everything's the same except he's catching a bunch of fish. Reason is because that fisherman knew his audience. He knew his fish. He knew what fish he wanted to catch. He knew everything about the fish that he wanted to catch. He knew where they were. So if you approach your audience like that, know which audience you want to do business with, and know what their pain points are, what their problems are, even what their aspirations are. Then you can start a conversation. You can start talking to them. You can start catching them. So when you go to market and you're implementing your marketing plan, know what the right leads are. So when you're increasing, that will increase the quantity and the quality of your leads. Now, it may seem counterintuitive at first. It's like, well, if I go to one cove in the pond, or I choose one vertical, doesn't that limit me? And the answer is, at first, it might. But in the long run, you'll become the go-to expert in an industry. You'll be at the top. You'll get most of the business. I know that's a big claim, but I've seen it happen. Adrian, let's dig more into this idea of audience with profiles and personas.
Great. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of methods that can help us to target our leads. First of all, creating buyer profiles helps us to do that by working out what our ideal customer looks like. So you'll see the keyword here is ideal. So for example, it could be that our ideal size company has over 1,000 employees. It operates in the hotel sector of the hospitality industry. The vertical is hotel spas based in large cities worldwide. We are selling merchandise through hotel spa shops, so that means we have both B2B buyers for the hotels and also the B2C customers who use the hotel spas and buy things. Other attributes are the hotel spas are found mainly in 4- and 5-star hotels, and we're hoping to deal with hotel chains. So profiles help us to understand which customers we should be targeting. Buyer personas drill down further, and they help us to understand more about our target customers and prospects. Buyer personas are developed through research and are used by many marketing people, including content writers, designers, but of course also salespeople. Here's how it works. Using the hotel spa example, we'd research relevant buyer roles such as hotel spa manager, and for each develop a persona which represents what is typical to the person doing that role. Those research findings should help us to more clearly understand what they have in common so we can create one persona that represents them all. We give that fictitious person a name and an avatar or picture, and then have that one person in mind when we are sales planning, designing products and writing marketing content so that it all resonates. So with the exception of a picture, here's what a completed buyer persona could look like. I've got to say that the contents aren't based on a large sample, more of an educated guess, but you hopefully get the idea, and you can see that buyer profiles and personas along with other methods can help us understand our customers better. Bruce.
Thanks, Adrian. That is good background information. And just to emphasize, folks, know your audience. Take time to really learn your audience. Choose one first, then learn about them. Don't just assume you know what they want to hear. Do some research. Ask your sales team. Ask your technical support desk. What are the questions you get? And really learn about that audience and then share your expertise. That's the key. When you talk to your audience for lead generation, for quality leads, talk to them about their problems, their pain points. And then after you engage with them and you build up that credibility, that top of mind awareness, then they'll come to you when they're ready to buy. When they're ready to buy, talk product. But for lead gen, talk about their pain points, problems, and aspirations. That's, if you have one takeaway today, take that away with you. Okay, let's talk about the planned campaign. I promised this when I introduced the webinar. This is something you can do right away. You can start generating leads and generating quality leads with what we're calling a lead magnet. And you may have heard the term. It's not an uncommon term. Now, here's an example of that I use for my target audience, which is manufacturing companies. And first of all, I know my audience. I know the pain points of my audience, and I know where to find them. And once I understood that, I created a high-value piece of content. In this case, it's a book. I wrote this book, The New Way to Market for Manufacturing. It's a 167-page book directly addressing the issues of manufacturers. So you would create a piece of high-value content. Doesn't have to be a book. Could be a 20-page ebook. Could be a white paper. Could be an infographic. Something that solves a problem with that audience. And it must be a high enough value that they'll exchange a little bit of information. If you try to use a product brochure or your annual report or anything about your company or your product, it's not going to work. Guarantee you it's not going to work. It's got to be a piece of content that addresses a problem. So we call it a conversion path. Excuse me. Conversion path. So you have your high value piece of content, then you want to tell people about it. You can do that in a paid advertisement. You could do it on your front page of your website like I do. You could do it in social media. Put that advertisement out where your target audience congregates, where they go for information. Put it out there. Hey, we've got this asset. It's free. Come and get it. And then people click on that ad and they go to a landing page. And on the landing page is the form. This is your lead gen, because you say, here's the asset, here's why you should care about it. Fill out this form to get it. That's your lead. After they fill out the form, you deliver it. You've got to deliver it, make it easy, make it relevant. You deliver the lead. Not the lead, you deliver the asset, sorry. And then after that, you take care of what happens after that. Now, this is going to depend on your discussions with your stakeholders. Does that lead go immediately into the sales team for discussion, for contact, or does it go into a lead nurturing campaign? What happens to that lead after they get the asset? And this is a decision you'll have to make. Some people, as I said, give an immediate phone call, and that's okay. But the call shouldn't be, I see you downloaded my book. How many widgets do you want to buy? Not wrong conversation. Say, I see you. You could say, I see you downloaded the book. What were you hoping it could help you with? And immediately it's about their issues, their problems. So that's the conversion path. Now you'll need some technology to achieve that. And there's a number of different ways technologies out there that helps you create this. But you'll need to create the offer. Here's a picture of the front page of my website, and you can see right off I'm offering a free digital copy of the book. That's my advertisement. And sometimes I'll promote it on social media or LinkedIn specifically. They click on the ad and you go to the landing page with the form. And you can see it has another picture. It's important to make it relevant so the pictures are consistent. A little bit of a pitch about what the information is, and then a short form. The shorter the form, the better. A longer form is going to create a lot of friction. So the higher the asset value, the longer the form you can get away with, but only ask for information that you need. For example, if I ask for address and phone number and all kinds of other information, fewer people would get this book, and I want everybody to get a copy of it. And by the way, folks, if you want to get a copy of the book, if you don't have one already, you can go directly to this landing page. There's the website. Go to www.mmmatters.com/ebook and go ahead and get your copy. And I promise I won't harass you with a phone call immediately afterwards. I'll wait a little bit. And this is the delivery page. And as you can see, it makes it easy. You just download the book. You can either click on the image or click on the words, download your book, and that's delivery of the asset. And I also follow up with an automatic email that says, hey, I see you downloaded the book, just want to make sure you got it. Here's a PDF file just in case, just to make sure. That's a conversion path. And as mentioned, you will need some technology. You'll have to create the ad, you'll have to build the landing page and the form, and there's some mechanics behind that. And if you need help with that, that's one of the services I do offer here at Manufacturing Marketing Group. Happy to help you with that, or just discuss it. It's a great way to get leads, quality leads. Your sales team will love it. Okay, measurement. This is an important part of any kind of planned campaign, including the lead magnet. Is it working? And so you'll need the same tools that you developed it with will be the measurement. So with mine, I look at page views, to forms submitted, to opportunities created, to revenue generated. And that way you can get an idea. You could tell your CFO, we spent whatever the number is, $5,000 to create this asset, and it's generated $500,000 in revenue. Wouldn't that be great? So you keep track of those conversions to see if you see like a lot of page views and a very small, like a 2% conversion to forms submitted, it tells you there's a problem with the form or a problem with the page. People don't understand the value. If you see a lot of forms submitted to very few opportunities, that conversion rate is very low, then could be a mismatch between where you advertised and who's getting the book or the asset. And then of course revenue. And I admit attribution is not easy, but at least it's going to give you a sense. And finally, lead magnets work, folks. This is a planned campaign. This is not ad hoc. You need to go through the understanding of your audience, understanding of what their pain point is, how you can help them, what's your expertise, and so on. It's a planned campaign. It's not ad hoc. It is easily measured, and it's evergreen. It goes on in the background. Once you create it and let it run and you get it optimized for your audience, it's just running. And that's the beauty of a lead magnet. And again, your leadership team will love it, especially if you start telling them about the revenue that this is creating or influencing. Okay, let's go into the takeaways. Adrian, what should our audience be taking home today?
Okay, well, my key takeaways, Bruce, are firstly to produce an assessment to benchmark your people and technology resources as well as process expertise. Develop an open and collaborative culture that enables honest discussion. That's super important. Plug the gaps in the resources that you don't have to give yourself a chance of being successful. And be unified together, clearly define and communicate what your purpose is. Finally, use advanced methods to really understand your buyers better. Bruce.
And my takeaways, folks, are that strategy comes before tactics. If you are in that reactive ad hoc mode, just try and step back and try and get your leadership to understand that you need to start talking about strategy and planning and get away from this ad hoc activity. I understand it could be hard. It can be hard to get that switch because it comes down to, resources and assets and people. And approach it from, I think Adrian mentioned this earlier, approach it from the fact that your leadership or your boss, that's your target audience. And think about what's their pain point? What's their problem? What do they really want? Probably they want more revenue, or they want to stop declining revenue, or they want to sell more. There's your opening. If you want to sell more stuff, here's an idea that will do it. They'll listen to you, and then try the pilot program. Say, I'll prove it to you, and maybe use this lead magnet idea to prove the concept that if you got a little bit of time, a little bit of money, you can create programs and tactics and strategies that generate leads. Define your leads, understand your audience. That's very important. Understand who your audience is. First, define them, and then understand how you can help them. Not how many widgets you can sell to them. That comes later. Define how you can really help them to be better, help them to achieve their goals, help them make their day a little bit easier. Know your audience, really understand them. And give that lead magnet a try. It's not that hard to do. Again, it takes some tools and some behind the curtain setup. And again, I can help you with that. Get the tools you need. Don't scrimp on the tools, the technology, I mean. Get the technology you need. And finally, it's not on the list here, but create a marketing plan. Use that template in the handout section. Ask for time and to create the marketing plan. Involve all your stakeholders. When I created my first marketing plan, I made a big mistake. The mistake was that I did it myself. I just finished up my MBA. I was all excited about it, and I created a marketing plan, and it was beautiful. It had everything it needed. My big mistake was I didn't involve the stakeholders. I gave it to the division leader, and I said, here's our marketing plan, very proudly. And She looked at it, said, "Oh, you spent a lot of time on this, didn't you?" And then put it in the pile. Never executed it, which is a shame. So involve your stakeholders. Get everybody excited. The marketing is now a strategic component of this business. Okay, questions and answers. Cassidy, do we have any questions coming in from the audience?
We do. We have a question from Glenn, and Glenn wants to know, how do you convince your stakeholders to get involved and help supply content and strategy? And he defines his stakeholders as being engineering, manufacturing, sales, finance. He's a contract manufacturer.
Very good question, Glenn, and very common challenge with manufacturing, especially contract manufacturers. These folks are busy. I get that. Everybody's really busy. How do you get them involved? Well, one way is to start at the top. If you get your leadership involved and excited about a marketing plan or a marketing strategy, they can put influence on these other stakeholders. And the CEO can say, "We're doing this. I need you to get involved." The next part of that is you got to make it easy for them to be involved. If you want to get some content out of an engineer, don't ask him or her to write anything. They'll never do it. Or I'll say it's a rare engineer or technical person who will sit down and write something. They may say they will, and they may say they want to, but it's just too much to do. They got too much other things to do. So make it easy for them to contribute, whether it's an interview or whether it's 5 minutes a day, asking them the questions, just make it easy. Sales, you want to get sales involved, tell them they can sell more. Here's how I can help you sell more, and they're going to be involved. Adrian, any comments about that?
Yeah, I think have little mini sessions, strategy days, or sections within sales meetings where you can, instead of just going around the table asking everyone how much have they sold and what are they going to sell next month, salespeople get bored with that. Bring marketing in and create a little session where you ask those questions and you have a brainstorming session. That they can be super productive. Take Bruce's point also about trying to get information off people. It's very difficult. Reps aren't great and engineers aren't great at writing things. They're not paid to write. One way I've done it is ask people to just speak into their iPhone. So you could produce, say, 5 questions. It will give you all the information you need, and you then ask them to answer those questions one by one. You get 5 separate voicemails coming through, and you work off those, and you can usually write lots of blogs and things from that.
Yeah, great ideas. Thanks, Adrian. Cassidy, let's take one more question, and then we'll go into the wrap up.
Okay, this question is from Nick, and he's wondering, how do I connect the lead magnet to actual revenue?
Yeah, that's a tricky part of the lead magnet, or connecting not just the lead magnet, but any piece of content or activity that's marketing or even sales, to connect that to the revenue. How do you do that? And you need some technology. Typically, you'll need at least a customer relationship management platform, CRM, like a Salesforce or a Zoho or a HubSpot, something that connects the opportunity to the amount of revenue. And then you need another piece, usually a marketing automation piece like a Marketo or a HubSpot or Eloqua, something like that, that connects the marketing activity to the opportunity. So it's kind of a 2-piece equation, marketing activity to opportunity to revenue. And it's more complex than that. We don't have time to go into it in a lot of detail, but a lot of companies are doing it. It's not easy. There's the attribution question. Like, well, if somebody visits a salesperson, they go to a trade show and they download an asset, which one do we give credit to? And that's a complex question, but it can be done. Many companies are doing it. At the very least, you can get an idea. Okay, thanks for those questions, folks. Last things we have is I'd like to offer some resources, and Adrian would too. And you can send me an email if you're interested in either of these assets, and I'll send you the PDF. I won't make you fill out a form for it. And also, I offer a free consultation. If these ideas are interesting, I'm happy to talk to you about it. 15-minute, 30-minute call. I'll want to learn more about your business. You can ask me questions. There's no charge for that. Just kind of get to know each other. If it makes sense to have a second call, we have a second call. If that's all you want is the one short call, happy to do that too. But feel free. Send me an email. Go to my website and fill out a contact form. I'm happy to talk to manufacturers to help them generate more leads. And Adrian, you have an offer as well?
Yeah. Well, I've produced easy to use assessments which can help you benchmark where you are now in terms of what we were talking about before: people, processes, technology. How it works is you answer the questions in each of the categories, giving a score of 1 to 5, and your scores will show in orange, as you can see there, and identify where you're strong and where you perhaps need to develop. So a chart like this, the benefit of it is it can help you make a business case to get improved resources. And if you want that, or as Bruce was saying, a consultancy session, fantastic. Drop me an email, please, at adrian@hargreaves-marketing.co.uk to request a benchmark assessment. Thank you, Bruce.
Great. That sounds like a great offer, Adrian. Well, thanks everybody for coming out today and visiting with us. I appreciate you taking the time to do it. I know everybody's busy, and I hope you found this valuable. And let me know how your lead magnet goes. I'd be really interested to see if you get results in your business. And there's our contact information. Feel free to email or visit our websites. And thank you very much, Adrian, for speaking with us today and sharing your expertise.
Thank you, Bruce. Thanks for having me on the webinar, and thanks everyone for attending the webinar. Hope you got some good value from it.